A very good morning and greetings from the Asian Confluence. Today we have a very interesting conversation on the upcoming BIMSTEC as a curtain raiser to the upcoming BIMSTEC Summit. The Indian Prime Minister and other leaders of the BIMSTEC member states are going to be in Bangkok on the 4th of April. And this is a summit that is happening at a very interesting juncture. Today, in this conversation, we have the three former Secretary Generals of BIMSTEC, Ambassador Sumit Nakandala, Ambassador Shahidul Islam, and Ambassador Tenzing Lekpel, joining us in conversation with Dr. Rajat Nag, who is the former MD of the Asian Development Bank and member of the Governing Council of Asian Confluence, and Ambassador Riva Ganguly Das, who served as India's High Commissioner in Bangladesh and also as Secretary East in the Ministry of External Affairs and is a member of the Governing Council of Asian Confluence. Thank you so much, Excellencies, Madam, for joining us in this morning. There are so many expectations from BIMSTEC, and I think this also comes at a time which has, when Myanmar has been hit with a very big earthquake and also parts of Thailand. So may I request that we observe about 5 or 10 seconds of silence in honor of the many who have lost their lives in the earthquake in Myanmar. Our prayers and our condolences to the families. So we observe about 10 seconds of silence, and then I would hand over the proceedings of today's conversation to Mr. Rajat Nag to take it forward. Thank you. May I now also, Ambassador Islam, I think you're not visible on the screen. I hope you're audible. So I hand over the proceedings now to Mr. Rajat Nag. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, we can hear you, Ambassador Islam, but we can't see you. So maybe your video is off. So let me add my words of welcome to all of you. I was going to say that what a tremendous opportunity that we have three Secretary Generals here who were at the ringside seat, and then I realized that, of course, not the ringside seat, you were in the ring. So delighted to have this opportunity to be able to talk to you. And of course, Ambassador Das, she herself has been very involved, both as the Indian High Commissioner in Dhaka, where of course the BIMSTEC Secretariat is located, and of course also as Secretary MEA. So she had a ringside seat, but also in the ring itself. As Shobha said, huge expectations. This is a much postponed summit for various reasons. But here we are, and we're all looking forward to the big event day after tomorrow. And I think, given the fantastic panel that we have, it would probably be the best to start off and put our panels a bit to the wire by saying, what is your expectation from this summit? Since we have limited time, I thought we'll just engage in a conversation, start off with a question like this, have everybody come in, and then we move on to a couple of others that I have in mind. So if I may, Ambassador Nakandala, request you to kick off your expectations from the summit day after tomorrow.
Thank you, Dr. Rajat. Usual welcome note again. Thank you, Sabyasachi Datta and the Asian Confluence for inviting me just a few days before the 6th BIMSTEC Summit. And I'm also very pleased to see two of my successors, Ambassador Saudul Islam and Ambassador Tension, and of course, Ambassador Riva Ganguly Das. It's an excellent panel, as you said, within the ring and outside the ring. Now, as far as the expectations are concerned, I think uh, my two successors certainly will agree that all of us, we had a lot of expectations from BIMSTEC as a regional organization, and three of us have been working very hard with of course, with the seven member states. To realize some certain things. I think one of the few expectations is that how do we establish BIMSTEC as a worthy regional organization for fostering economic integration and economic cooperation within other sectors, 14 sectors. In certain aspects, I think we have been we have reached the our expectations. In fact, with respect to counterterrorism, transnational crime, that area of cooperation, we have been successful. There have been certain fundamental landmarks. For example, BIMSTEC convention, a couple of conventions, and then we are at the moment working with the member states. They're discussing certain other conventions, prisoner exchange, and a number of things. I think that area, in fact, we have been very successful, given the fact that global and regional scenario with respect to the counterterrorism. The other areas, of course, I was very happy that during this fifth BIMSTEC summit, which was held in Colombo, Sri Lanka, organization and the member states both collectively were, were able to finalize and conclude the BIMSTEC charter, and that's very important thing. And then finalization of the BIMSTEC connectivity master plan. I think these are very important expectations. Now, unlike during my time, initial years, BIMSTEC Secretariat has been expanded, and there are uh, seven directors from each country. So that's very important enlargement. Uh, Government of Bangladesh has promised new state-of-the-art building for the secretariat. I suppose it will come. It will be a reality in the years to come. I think we have very modest expectations for the last 28 years, especially. I think our expectations were ignited by many more times after 2016, when BRICS BIMSTEC Outreach Summit was held in Goa. I think that was the major turning point for the organization and to the membership. So, like my two successors, distinguished Secretary Generals, these are the inside view. If you talk about expectations, certainly they will also add what their expectations were. Of course, all three of us were we were certainly keen to have a very vibrant regional organization, but unlike any other organization, BIMSTEC is a member-driven organization. So we need to keep that in mind while working with the member states. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy that BIMSTEC is moving slowly, but very steadily, with a specific focus on the Bay of Bengal. I'll stop at that point and then we'll come back to it later. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Nakandala. Yes, we will. Because I think you've certainly laid out the initial expectations, and of course, they have to be modest. I think the question will be looking ahead. Now, 28-year-old, 28-year-old organization. That itself is a tremendous achievement. But then, where do we go from here? And maybe at this point, I bring in Ambassador Islam. Please, for your thoughts, sir.
Thank you very much, and good morning. To begin with, I'd like to thank Asian Confluence for organizing this curtain-raising event on the eve of the sixth BIMSTEC Summit, which is going to be held in Bangkok. Me and together with two other illustrious former Secretary Generals of BIMSTEC, Ambassador Sumit Nakandala and Honorable Tenzing Lepkel. In particular, I wish to thank Mr. Shobhasati Datta for contacting me to participate in this event. I want to thank him a second time for bringing on board two illustrious persons, very respectable figures in the realm of diplomacy. Mr. Rajat Nag, former MD Asian Development Bank, which is the long-standing partner of BIMSTEC, and Ambassador Riva Ganguly Das, former Secretary East Indian Ministry of External Affairs, and also a very successful and extremely popular High Commissioner to Bangladesh. She, rest assured, you have many friends in Bangladesh, and we really value your contribution in promoting Bangladesh-India friendship. I think my two other colleagues, Ambassador Nakandala and Honorable Lepkel, will agree with me that BIMSTEC process is progressing well. It's holding regular meetings, including summit, which is not happening in all other organizations in this region. In that way, I would say that BIMSTEC process has been smooth. There is a full-fledged secretariat. Member states are paying their budgetary contribution regularly. Then it has a charter, and very soon during this summit, the rules of procedure will be adopted by the summit, which will further bring more efficiency to the decision-making process. The main challenge of BIMSTEC is, of course, how to produce tangible from this rather smooth process. Very important thing for BIMSTEC is to advance economic, physical, and people-to-people connectivity for the welfare of the entire region. But unfortunately, the FTA, which has been negotiated for over 2 decades, has not come into being. The people-to-people contact and trade is also being restricted because of the visa policies and physical connectivity in terms of railway and road. They are also not really ready for enhanced trade and people-to-people contact. So it looks like that the process is fine, but the outcome is almost non-existent, other than some studies which we conducted with the support of Asian Development Bank. But it's never too late, and we would like to look forward to the upcoming summit. I'm very happy that the upcoming summit is going to witness the signing of a maritime transport agreement, which will potentially enhance maritime trade among the member states using the Bay of Bengal. The second thing, which is also very positive, is that the theme of this year's BIMSTEC Summit includes three things: resilience and prosperity and openness. This openness is very important because when I worked as Secretary General, I saw that member states were not entirely comfortable in opening up this regional organization to outside the world, other than, of course, the only exception was Asian Development Bank. But this time they are going to sign two agreements with IORA and ENODC to this is a very good thing. It will um, enhance the position stature profile of BIMSTEC, and hopefully it will also enhance the service delivery capacity of BIMSTEC. So I think this is very important. And if the member states wants to go a little bit further, they can also invite member states to become partners, whether it is in terms of observer or a full member. So this is a very good beginning. So I would like to end here. If you were to ask me something more, I'll be ready for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Islam. Of course, a lot more. I'm sure some of it will follow. Uh, I really like the way you summarize this, a very honest assessment, something that I share. And the good thing is, of course, all of us are just absolutely fundamentally, genetically committed to uh, BIMSTEC. So we can afford to be very open and critical of ourselves. And there, I think, Ambassador Islam, I like the way you put it, which is very succinct. Process is fine, but the output is not substantial. And if anything, I feel sort of personally very responsible is too strong a word, but certainly very, involved. And just to belie my age and my sort of in the long years, the ADB, I was present at the 97, June 97 conference where BISTEC was formed. It was not BIMSTEC at that time. Unfortunately, a month later, just a month later, the financial crisis happened, so everything else went for a toss. So BIMSTEC has faced a lot of challenges. One of them was the Asian financial crisis itself. But in spite of that, I agree with you, both Ambassadors Nakandala and Islam, that there have been good progress, but they've been mostly on the process side, important as they are. So we will talk a bit as we go ahead with the actual outputs and outcomes. So let me at this point bring in the most recent Secretary General, Ambassador Lekpel, who will sort of be able to shed more light on some of these issues. So over to you, sir.
Thank you for the invitation. And first of all, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to the Asian Confluence for organizing this very timely and important discussion just before the sixth summit. And as BIMSTEC prepares for the sixth summit, I think conversations like this will play a very important role in shaping perspectives, setting realistic expectations, and guiding the way forward. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, very well.
Thank you. And also, I mean, it is an honor and a privilege for me to be here today alongside my two former Secretary Generals, Ambassador Sumit Nakandala and Ambassador Shahidul Islam, and of course, as well as our distinguished moderator, Mr. Rajat Nag and Ambassador Iva Ganguly. I think this is a very interesting group because we have been in BIMSTEC for a long time, and this has a unique vantage point to reflect on its journey, the BIMSTEC's journey, and explore ways to enhance its relevance and effectiveness. Um, Coming to the today's conversation about on the expectations and how BIMSTEC should move forward, I think as my two former SGs mentioned, I think we have come a long way. A lot of progress has been made. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things that has happened in the last 28 years. But I think there are still some more things to be done. And as the moderator and my previous ambassador Shahidul mentioned, we are doing quite well in terms of progress, laying down the legal frameworks, all the procedures, processes. I think the BIMSTEC is doing quite well, but the outcome we are yet to see, and that is where I think this gap, we need to identify this gap, and hopefully the sixth BIMSTEC Summit will understand this issue, and that they will try to discuss why there is a gap between the process and the outcome. And this is something that I think even in the course of our conversation today, we can discuss. But just to be very brief, my personal expectation from this summit is if they could discuss a little bit more about on institutional capacity and strengthening the institutional capacity and decision making of the Secretariat. I think one of the biggest challenges of BIMSTEC has been very slow decision making and weak implementation. Probably this is the gap between the process and the outcome. The Secretariat at Dhaka, I think, has very limited authority, limited resources, and operational capacity. So I think if our leaders can identify this and then try to come up with some measures on this, this personally feels is one of the biggest gaps that we see between the process, and that could contribute to narrow the gap between the process and outcome. And I think I'll leave it here. There are other expectations, like such as trade and other things, which we can probably would be discussing later. So I'll stop it here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ambassador Ekbal. And again, thank you very much for pointing out something that I know that all the other colleagues on the panel would feel and have felt, and I certainly have been feeling it on the other side, is the institutional capacity. It's not the individuals who are there, they're doing the best they can, but to run an organization as big as BIMSTEC, with a mandate as wide as BIMSTEC's, the Secretariat has to be, much larger, much more decentralized power and resources, I mean, financial and human. And I know that you three Secretary Generals have struggled with it, and within those constraints done a great job, I think. But that is certainly something which is a major issue. And I think people like us who are very committed to BIMSTEC need to keep bringing up. We can't sort of achieve the sort of dreams we have with the sort of resources the member countries are willing to provide. That's a very major challenge. And at this point, I think I'll bring in Ambassador Riva. Riva, you have this unique position of what I call an insider-outsider. You're as much of an insider in BIMSTEC as anyone could be, and yet you sort of are an outsider because you can sort of look at it from the outside. So give us your perspective of an insider-outsider. The previous three insiders' views. Give us now both your view from inside and outside.
Thank you, Rajabda, and I think I would also like to congratulate Sabya and his team for this very unique opportunity to hear the three former SGs of BIMSTEC. I think this is a very, very good initiative, very good curtain raiser, and so I feel very privileged to be sharing the panel with them. This is the 28th year of BIMSTEC, and I think logically it's a good time to sort of reflect back on what BIMSTEC has achieved. As far as this as the SGs just mentioned, and Rajata, you also mentioned that there have been many challenges that BIMSTEC has faced. There have been, you can certainly look back and say this could have been done this way, and we just heard about weak implementation, slow decision making process, etc. But I think in a way the next summit is extremely important for a couple of reasons. One is that the leaders are going to meet in person after a fairly long gap. The last summit could not be an in-person summit. It was a online summit because of COVID restrictions. So the leaders meeting and is always brings in a different political dynamics to the thing. The second important thing, I think, is that this is the first summit since the adoption of the BIMSTEC Charter. And the adoption of the charter, I think, is a very important step. I know the state parties have worked hard on this, and and we've been everybody's commitment is reflected in the charter. BIMSTEC is now finally, after so many years, a legal entity. It can interact with other multilateral organizations, other regional bodies. We just heard that 2 MOUs are going to be signed at this summit, and this gives a lot of advantages to the BIMSTEC, and this, along with the fact that there is now a secretariat, expansion of secretariat has taken place, and there are countries are represented, and there is the commitment from Bangladesh to put together a secretariat. I think this augurs well for the organization. The second thing is that, at this particular summit, which is coming up in Thailand, the rules of procedure are also going to be adopted. As a diplomat, I know how important these small things are, like rules of procedure, charter. Charter is not small. It's a very big deal for an organization. So I think together with the fact that BIMSTEC has already rationalized the sectors from 14 to 7, and the eminent persons group report is also ready, again calling for more rationalization of work, and I understand that the EPG report is going to be adopted at the summit. So altogether, I think a lot is happening in terms of the putting the procedures in place. Now the big challenge, any organization is as successful as the political will behind it. So that is really where we have to see how things move forward in the future. But I feel that this is an important summit, and even though sometimes BIMSTEC is considered, BIMSTEC is seen as a very low profile organization, and somehow, because there are no high profile disputes and problems within the BIMSTEC member countries, the press also doesn't cover BIMSTEC events as much as it should. So some of the real achievements of BIMSTEC also sometimes get slipped out of public mind because people, it's not there to see. So I think we as the think tank community also have a role to play here to give, to give more space to BIMSTEC activities, to what BIMSTEC countries are doing, and some of the real achievements which have taken place, and the huge potential that is there of this bridge between two regions, two very dynamic regions, South Asia and Southeast Asia. I'll end here. Thank you.
I think Riva's connectivity was chopping up, but we got the very important message points you made, Riva. I'd like to pick up on a critical point that you said, which is, I think, fundamental. That is the political will. Having the charter adopted, I think, was a very major achievement. Yes, and then the rules of procedures are very important. So I want to move on to the next topic which I had, and maybe I'll do it now in the reverse order since you raised it, Ambassador Riva. What do you think in the near term, at least, and I'll bring in the issue of India and Bangladesh in a moment, is the political will to see BIMSTEC go to the next level? I mean, it's all very well to have all of these agreements and very important to have them. But what's your assessment of the political will to sort of foster greater BIMSTEC. And your associated point was very, very well taken, which is that because there are no major problems as such, it tends to be underplayed in the media. And so, of course, that's one thing to do. But if I may sort of ask you, Ambassador Riva, to tell us a bit about your assessment of the political will, and then we'll go in the reverse order to the other speakers on the near-term sort of prognostication, as it were, for BIMSTEC. So back to you, Riva.
Thank you. I think is the audio better now because I got rid of my.
Yeah, it is
okay.
better.
I think the political will is definitely there, and being you see, in BIMSTEC, there are two large players, India and Thailand. So the asymmetry of power that exists in the SAARC region does not exist in BIMSTEC. And by and large, all countries enjoy good bilateral relations with each other. Uh, India demonstrated its political will by inviting the BIMSTEC leaders for the mini summit in 2016 on the margins of BRICS summit. I think that was a very important initiative and gave that political thrust, rather I should say a renewed political thrust to BIMSTEC. Later on, Prime Minister Modi also invited BIMSTEC leaders for the oath-taking ceremony, again an important political gesture. So these, the political push, the political will is of course very important. Uh, how the bilateral relations between the countries play out obviously has a repercussion on how on the dynamics of the organization. And being a large player, India's role is very important. The way India is placed, the India's any given point of time, India's priorities. And I feel that BIMSTEC is where a lot of India's foreign policy priorities meet. For instance, neighborhood first, Act East, Sagar, as well as the Indo-Pacific. We all know about the strategic importance of Bay of Bengal, and till the regime change in Bangladesh, we had achieved a huge amount of there are huge achievements that we have had in the field of connectivity, trade, etc. Starting from 2010, when the connectivity agenda started being pushed. You look at how it has proceeded. There are railway links now. There is port connectivity, the inland waterway connectivity between India, Bangladesh. Bhutan has used this link to bring in heavy stuff like clinker, stones, boulders into Bangladesh. Then, this is the inland waterways. Road connectivity. There are so many checkposts all over the border, more than 30, including with Myanmar, and of course India-Bhutan border, India-Nepal. So all this connectivity is there, but how it moves forward is the question. And sometimes now, of course, following the what happened in Bangladesh on 5th August. There is the railways have stopped. As far as I know, railway links have not been restored, whereas the railway was being used for trade during entire COVID period. There was more than 100% increase in freight usage for bilateral trade. And we all know that connectivity is so important for intra-regional trade. ASEAN has performed so well because of, I think you will be able to say, if I'm not mistaken, it's more than 30% of their trade is intra-regional, whereas in the case of South Asia, it's only 5%. So there is a lot we can do, but if there is if bilateral relations are also not going as smoothly as one would expect, there will definitely be issues in terms of pushing actual projects. Take the example of IMT, the India-Myanmar-Thailand Trilateral Highway, which is such an important project. And Bangladesh has always shown interest in joining the project. We are also talking about eastward extension of the project up to Vietnam. But these projects, it needs the environment, and the security situation has to be proper to take them forward. So I feel that the political push is important, and the next summit will show the commitment of our leaders, and I have no doubt all our leaders will show their commitment to taking BIMSTEC forward, which is very unique organization.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Riva. That was very, very useful and covered a wide expanse. Yes, the political will is there. Some more, some less, some changes over time for obvious reasons. But one issue that I'd like to put on the table is political will is fine, not fine. It's a necessary condition, but not sufficient. You need resources. Now, you talk about the IMT. It's been going on for more than 12 years. And the issues of security, environment, very important. But also one problem has been financial resources. The master plan of connectivity that Ambassador Islam referred to has about 270 projects with a total tag of about $125-130 billion. So I think one of the challenges BIMSTEC faces is really resources, financial resources being provided. And the question is, will the countries follow up with committing or mobilizing, bring in the ADB or the World Bank and others into this picture? Because the ADB supported and financed the east-west corridor from from Haiphong all the way to Bangkok, and that was almost 10 years back. So if I may bring in Ambassador Islam on this issue, and I'll bring in the India-Bangladesh issue a bit later, and I'll park it. But Ambassador Islam, if I may ask you about the resources, financial resources, institutional resources that BIMSTEC obviously is very, very constrained by, and other thoughts you might have on the near-term future of BIMSTEC. Congratulations.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. I have seen an evolution over the years through which an open, informal organization became rigid and averse to external. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. In the ministerial meeting documents, I have gone through all the ministerial meeting documents held from 1997, and in the initial documents, there were a great deal of emphasis on partnering external entities, organizations, as well as countries to mobilize resources, because it was a given that South Asia and also part of Southeast Asia, which form BIMSTEC, are resource-constrained region. And their own resources are not enough to mobilize large projects, especially in the physical connectivity area where you need billions of dollars. But as BIMSTEC progressed, with the time, there was a kind of reluctance on the member states, on the part of member states, to open up to the external partners, fearing that external money will bring external influence in the region. So that has continued for a very long time, this attitude. And just to mention that, as the Secretary General from 2017 to 2020, I, together with, I did a lot of advocacy with the member states to engage ADB, World Bank, and other organizations, if not states, because that may be a little bit more sensitive. But it appeared to me that the member states were not yet, in those days, they were not prepared to accept more involvement with external partners. In this context, I find it very interesting that during this summit, they are going to sign MOU with two external partners in addition to ADB. ADB is the, long-standing partner we have. We have formal agreement with them. So that is a very good development, I would say. And of course, you need to. Who are the people who have money? Asian Development Bank. You also need World Bank, and you also need some cooperation with the European Union and other ASEAN, maybe United States. There are many sources of
Yeah.
money. Those who really want to see that the South Asian region is better integrated, so that for them also it becomes easier to do trade and investment in this region.
Yes. I'm sorry, Ambassador Islam. Did you want to say something more?
No. I think
No.
this is
I was going to say that I'm very, very pleased to hear a former Secretary General being so open about this issue, because I have dealt with BIMSTEC over the years, and this is one thing I felt was always coming in the way. Sort of somehow a reluctance on the state's part that this should be a bilateral issue. But some of these projects are so huge, and I was mentioning the East-West corridor in the Greater Mekong sub-region. So I'm very happy to hear this. And at this point, if I may bring in Ambassador Lekpel, sir, if you would, not only about the financial resources, but if I could just expand the dialogue a bit, and then Ambassador Nakandala will also add to it, I'm sure. The whole issue of FTA. We've been talking about the FTA, BIMSTEC FTA, for 20 years, and I know it's not easy. But still, 20 years. We signed a framework agreement in 2004, and here we are in 2025. So if you would kindly sort of, bring in the issue of FTA, BIMSTEC FTA, and challenges and where you see it going.
Thank you. I think this is a very important, the sector, the area. I think BIMSTEC was basically founded on economic integration and cooperation. I think they are probably the backbone of BIMSTEC founding. So therefore, even before I joined, with the earlier two former secretaries, they have been working on this FTA, because this is a very important sector. The secretariat has been following up both in the past, even before the secretariat was established. And if I remember, I think now, when I was there at the secretariat, I think we had, by that time, it was the 22nd or 23rd meeting of, related to FTA and other different areas of trade. But unfortunately, again, I think this is, if we talk about political will, I will try to put these two together, the trade agreements and the political will, because this is a very key, very important for the region, the trade and economics. But unfortunately, over the last so many years, and also with 22, 23 rounds of meetings, we are still battling with this agreement, trying to sort out. So, and I'm not, to be honest, I'm not sure even after this summit whether we are going to have this some kind of an agreement framework done. So, but my expectation, I think, was this that this during this meeting, after this summit, if they could at least try to discuss and start, if not everything on FTA, at least the low-hanging fruits like non-tariff barriers, customs, things like that, which does not require financial resources, but cooperation between the member states, if this can be worked out, if not entire FTA, at least a few parts of the FTA, if, to be humble and to start off. This would benefit the member states, and then probably once there is certain benefit that comes from BIMSTEC, then I think the commitment, the political will, the people's support, I think then automatically will generate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Uh, your point about this political will converging with the economic, priorities is so important because I link back to what Ambassador Riva said. This is the first time leaders will meet together physically. There is no substitute for meeting on the sidelines, have a cup of coffee together. And what I feel is that it is only at that level that you can say, look, just let's do it. And I hope, of course, it does. But I have to confess that I'm a bit disappointed that I don't hear anything about the FTA per se in this summit. There's a lot of other things. There's the sort of rules of procedures. There'll be this maritime transport cooperation. There'll be the various MOUs to be signed, as Islam mentioned. But I don't hear any talk about FTAs. Do you think, and I'll bring in Ambassador Nakandala on this point, do you think, sir, that people have realized that FTAs is going to be difficult, so let's do bits and pieces, important as they are, and let's not try to worry about the big thing? Or do you think there's really the political will to do an FTA? Because as Ambassador Riva very, I think, importantly pointed out, the intra-regional trade within BIMSTEC is less than 5%, 4.5, 3.5 to 4.5. And ASEAN is roughly about 5-6 times more, and there's a much larger volume. So, Ambassador Nakandala, what's your thought on the prospects of an FTA, either at this summit or in the near term, as you see it? You are muted, sir.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Rajat. That's a very important question that you raised, issue. And I'm very happy that Ambassador Riva Ganguly also brought very pertinent things. I'm going to reveal two things now. She talks about the political will. Two examples, living examples. In fact, this is also related to connectivity and FTA. Now, in the before the BIMSTEC master plan for connectivity came about, there was a BTILS, that is the BIMSTEC Trade Infrastructure Logistics Study, funded by the ADB totally. We had the last meeting in 2014 in New Delhi. Now, we have identified through that study 275 projects, or 200 long list and short list. The ADB was willing to select and implement certain projects, and then they really wanted to have certain say on that. But unfortunately, in 2014, one member state opposed to that. That means ADB driven connectivity master plan, connectivity process. So one member state opposed to that. I don't think that it was due to a political will. I think there was a kind of a bureaucratic, because we never had secretaries like Ambassador Riva Ganguly, who understand, who had a passion towards regional integration. Now that's important. We are always telling certain things to political will, but what about the will at the bureaucratic level? Now, I have seen this from my own eyes. That's number one. Number two, Rajat, you have very correctly said that the BIMSTEC FTA, in 2004 we signed the framework agreement, and since Sri Lanka was given the chairmanship of the Trade Negotiating Committee, is TNC. Now, there had been, as previously stated, there had been number of rather 19 or 21 TNC meetings in different places. So we were really negotiating not only trade in goods, but trade in services, investment, and then custom cooperation, and everything together. Unlike SARC process, so we were doing together. It's a package deal. It's not a FTA. Just for FTA or goods. It was a package. Now, in 2010, I will now name the country. In 2010, we agreed to exchange the negative list. 2010. Unfortunately, Sri Lankan Department of Commerce brought an objection to say what is the serious value addition through BIMSTEC FTA, since we have the Asia Pacific Trade Agreement, to which Sri Lanka is also a member. Thailand is also a member. Now, Asia Pacific Trade Agreement is monitored and implemented by the UNSCAP. Okay, I think Rajat will understand why it is. So, Sri Lankan bureaucracy prevented the exchange of negative list in 2010. All other member states were ready. All 6 member states were ready, but Sri Lanka said, no, we will have to take this and that. And after that, when I took over, I had to put extra work and to plead with the Sri Lankan Ministry of Trade. Even I had to go before the then Prime Minister, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, to provide our negative list. Now, once that was done, we had a golden opportunity done. Then we had 2015, we had the 22nd or 21st TNC meeting in Thailand. There, all the countries were willing to proceed. One single country said, no, we can't. We have certain other issues. So that was the time that at that point everything collapsed. I think we had the golden opportunity. I'm not blaming 2015 meeting, but I think Sri Lanka had a greater responsibility to. They had the greater responsibility to agree to the exchange of negative list, and at least, all right, you go and then sign the FTA. Then later, certainly, all these agreements can be reviewed later. Additions and deletions can be done. Every 5 years, every trade agreement has to be examined again. So, I'm bringing one important thing. I mean, it's not only the political will, whether there is a will at the working level, at the level of secretaries and directors general, at the different ministries. First and foremost, I think what we need, in fact, we propose this kind of process to train the at least directors above, directors and additional directors in the ministries of foreign affairs and ministries of commerce and trade, to train them on the importance of regional cooperation and integration. Because if they do not understand that, I mean, you don't need to be an economist to understand that. You don't need to go to Harvard Business School or something to understand that. So it is important that political will is a different one. I think that it should be important collective will from the bureaucracy. That is also lacking, because I have hundreds of examples, not only as the Secretary General, former Secretary General, but in my 36 years of the foreign service in Sri Lanka, I have seen this will is missing. That's Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ambassador Nandan. And I'm so glad that you made such a important and such an honest assessment of the reality. Just an aside, but it turns out to be a very important one. We were doing the Greater Mekong sub-region, which is, as you know, another sub-regional grouping,
Yeah.
very much like BIMSTEC. But that was in the early 90s. And one fundamental rule that they adopted, the leaders, which we call N plus one, 6 countries or 7 countries or whatever number, they don't have to all agree on every project. If 2 countries agree on 2 projects influencing them, say Thailand and Vietnam, then Cambodia has nothing to say about it. And I know that BIMSTEC operates on a consensus as does
Yeah.
ASEAN. But what you have pointed out, Mr. Kandala, is exactly what was a big, big plus and a help in GMS. We didn't need a consensus. Good to have it, but if not, you can proceed. Uh, my biggest complaint against Sabya on this panel is that he has put together such an excellent panel, 3 Secretaries General and Ambassador Iba, and then he gives me an hour to sort of, finish it with so much experience around this table and so much wisdom, if I may say so. So, well, I'm bound by what he said, so I don't have much time. But I would like to bring in Ambassador Islam and Ambassador Eve on one point which has been on everybody's mind, I'm sure. Bangladesh takes over the chair of BIMSTEC, and obviously, Secretariat being in Dhaka always puts a greater responsibility and a burden on Bangladesh. So, given the current situation with India, the political tensions, whatever, how do you see this evolving and working out in terms of BIMSTEC, not about bilateral? I mean, that's a larger issue. So, Ambassador Islam, if you would share your thoughts, and then Riva, if you would come in, please. Ambassador Islam.
Thank you very much. I'm not the right person to respond on bilateral Bangladesh-India relations. But of course, in the BIMSTEC context, maybe that I can say a word or two.
Yes.
But before that, I would like to recognize the presence of Professor Pro Virte, who has been a great friend of BIMSTEC. I can see him.
Situation with India,
And
the political tensions, whatever. Oops, I think the recording is playing. Okay.
okay.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
And second thing is about FTA. During my time as Secretary General, I became so much frustrated that at one point I proposed to the member states that let us give up this thing, because many of the developments have overtaken the potential benefit or value addition that this BIMSTEC FTA would produce. Instead of that, let's focus on trade facilitation agreements. But member states, I think they don't want to lose face. It's going to be there on the agenda. And about the chairmanship of Bangladesh during an uneasy relationship between Bangladesh and India, uh, I have always considered India and Bangladesh to be a very important pivot for the BIMSTEC. And during my time, I have seen that both sides are taking notes from each other. They are cooperating, exchanging notes. That was a very good situation, and I think this will again be the situation where the Secretary General is from India and Bangladesh is going to be the chair. I do not see any problem as regards this cooperation to continue. Because both the countries stand to benefit from BIMSTEC cooperation, and both the countries are fully committed to the BIMSTEC cooperation. I'm referring to what Ambassador Riva mentioned deeply about the disruption of transport communication. Yeah, some of the things which are not really desirable. Like I give you my personal experience. My childhood school day teacher Sunil Kumar De, he was sick, and we managed some money for his treatment in India. He could not get visa, so eventually everybody has to die. So he died, but if he had been able to go to India for the treatment, maybe everybody would have more satisfaction that at least we tried
Yeah.
for his family and ex-students like me. So these are the things I think Bangladesh and India, these are not we don't have any insurmountable problem between
Mm.
Bangladesh and India. There are issues and problems which can be worked out, negotiated, uh, talked about. So I do not think that chairmanship coming to Bangladesh will have any problem for the BIMSTEC as an institution. This government or the next government, elected government, the bureaucracy is there and the foreign ministry officials are there. So
Thank
there should be any problem.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Islam. That's very, very reassuring. And I'm so sorry to hear about your teacher. I mean, how sad can it be that because of these issues, something like that happened? Ambassador Riva, can I bring you in, please?
Thank you. Thank you. I also agree with some of the things that Ambassador Shahidul Islam said. I had the pleasure of working with him because when he was Secretary General, I was High Commissioner. I think BIMSTEC works within a very formal structure. And as I mentioned earlier, now there is a charter, there is a program of work, the sectors are divided, and the focus squarely remains on cooperation, economic progress, peace, prosperity. Notwithstanding that, I think having a difficult relationship between two important partners can always, the shadow of that falls on the functioning, the performance. The present government of Bangladesh is an interim government. It has been it's in place to conduct elections. Bangladesh is going through tremendous amount of political churn. I think there is we hear sentiments uh, opposing a lot of things which the previous government did with India, which are absolutely emotional, outbursts of feeling without really seeing the economic benefit which integration brings. And here I would like to give the simple example of electricity. Just see how much success we've had in terms of grid connectivity, electricity exchanges. Entities are buying electricity on Indian exchange at the whatever rate prevails on that day. Nepal, despite the problem between India and Bangladesh, the tripartite agreement was signed after 5th August, and Nepal is exporting electricity to to Bangladesh using Indian grid connectivity. So I think India and Bangladesh have had India has I mean, we are neighbors. We share 4,900 kilometers of border. We've shown our leadership has interacted with each other no matter what the political color of the regime, and we've had lots of ups and downs in the past. So I'm sure we can put this behind us, this particular period. And as and when an elected government comes to power, we see for ourselves a pronouncement about how they want to see the relationship proceed with India. I'm sure things will fall in place. And in the past also, chairmanships of various organizations have moved from organization to organization. The secretariat and the framework which is put in place is able to bring stability to allow countries to move forward. Of course, overall, if there is goodwill between countries, it is that much easier to push things forward and that much easier to achieve your goals. So once again, we are back to the same issue that the next summit, which starts very soon, will be very, very crucial. And I think not only will South Asia, Southeast Asia watch it, but the larger leadership of the world will also watch how we are able to proceed in terms of regional integration, regional cooperation, and move forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm so assured and reassured by both you and Ambassador Islam on this hope. And I'm sure it's more than a hope. I'm sure that's the way it'll happen. I too would like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Prabir Dey. He is an intellectual anchor for BIMSTEC, very, very important proponent of BIMSTEC. And I would very much want to have brought him in. But Prabir, as I was complaining earlier, Shoko has put me on a very tight time guillotine. So I'll just have to acknowledge your presence and thank you very much and congratulations on the excellent piece you wrote in the newspaper day before yesterday. I think it was, as always, very pertinent. So with great pleasure to Ambassadors Nakandala, Islam, Lekpal, and Rivadas, I thank you very much for having been a part of this interesting discussion. And I hope very much that some of the thoughts that we have expressed may somehow filter up to people that be. And let's hope for the best and wish everybody at the summit all the very best for the sake of the region. With that, Shobha, over to you. I think Shobha has done the unimaginable job of actually not having to be able to listen to anything we said. But he gets the sense, I'm sure, of what we have talked about.
Yeah, his audio is not working.
It's not okay, yes. Sabia, can you hear us?
I don't know, he can't. That's part of the. Prabhat, if you can let him know that we are ready to hand over the forum to him.
Thank you very much. Um, we could have gone on a little longer, Rajata.
Now he tells me. Okay.
Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much, Shobha, for putting this together. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shahid bhai, great to see you.
Yeah, nice to see all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We hope
Bye-bye. Thanks.
another session.
So just a very quick note of thanking you all for joining, and thanks to also. I hope my.
Very bad.
Shobha, we
Thank you
can't hear
very
you
much
now.
again. I thought I
Thank
just
you.
I have an audio
Thank
issue.
you.
I don't know what's going on.
Not at all. Thank you. Thank you very much, Shobha, for putting this
Thank
together.
you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.